The sunset on Tioga Way was breathtaking, casting hues of gold and crimson over the quiet street. But as night crept in, a chilling presence stirred in the shadows, lurking in the depths of darkness, waiting to make itself known. Teresa Wallen, 22 and 12 weeks pregnant, was alone at home. With a bag of trash in hand, she walked towards the door, oblivious to the darkness slipping silently into her home. Teresa froze, heart pounding, as her door creaked open from the outside. A man in a black hood slipped into the house, gun in hand. Before Teresa could gasp, gunfire erupted. Desperately trying to shield herself, Teresa caught the first in her right hand, but the next two were fatal. One struck her forehead, the other her left temple, ending it instantly. The murderer hefted her lifeless body into the bedroom, his eyes gleaming with a dark purpose, ready to commit the most devilish act imaginable. The sinister figure moved swiftly to the kitchen, snatched a steak knife and a small white bucket, then made his way back to the room, his intentions dark and chilling. He stripped the clothes from the lifeless body, his movements cold and devoid of remorse. His acts were beyond words, a darkness too vile to comprehend. He cut, opened her torso, filled up the bucket with blood and some of her organs. The wicked soul drank her blood from the bucket and continued to fill up more blood. It is believed that the heartless, merciless animal later used the remaining blood to bath and consume the organs at his apartment. Unaware of the tragedy awaiting him, Teresa's husband returned home, only to be met with the most devastating sight of his life. A wave of unbearable pain crashed over him, leaving him shattered. The police received 2 reports from the neighborhood. In the first, a family reported of a break-in. Though nothing was stolen, the intruder left a mess of urine and feces on their toddler's bed. The second report was about Teresa's gruesome murder. Anthony Richard Trenton Chase Tuma was born on May 23, 1950 in Santa Clara County, California, to Beatrice Chase and Richard Chase Sr. At 4 years old, Richard Chase welcomed a new life to the family, his baby sister. In early 1955, the family of 4 moved out from Santa Clara County to their new home in Sacramento, California. As days passed by, financial pressures mounted. The couple's relationship began to fracture under the weight of their growing demands. Soon, their arguments turned physical and violent, causing terrified Richard Chase to always hide in his closet, seeking refuge from the chaos. The couple's violence soon reached little Richard Chase, drawing him into the cycle of physical abuse. Richard's father was strict and started controlling his every move and decision. Even Richard's grandmother and mother accused his father of being excessively strict and harshly disciplinary toward his son. Amid all the chaos, Richard Chase's mother was seeing a psychiatrist for her mental illness. Doctors described Beatrice as unstable, extremely aggressive, and agitational. Richard Sr. claimed his wife was plagued by frequent hallucinations, accusing him of taking drugs, poisoning her, or being unfaithful. Their heated arguments echoed loudly enough for young Richard Chase to hear every word. A mother unknowingly carrying the weight of a cruel fate, a child destined for schizophrenia, raised in a home of unspoken tension and fractured warmth, an environment that slowly stirs his latent darkness, molding him into a silent chaos. By the age of 10, Richard Chase had already begun to reveal the dark signs of a troubled mind. He knew this bedwetting tied to deep psychological turmoil. Pyromania, a compulsive need to set fires, watch things burn. He once set a neighbor's garage on fire just because his neighbor complained Richard's music was too loud. Richard also started showing signs of an unsettling cruelty toward animals. The foundations of something monstrous were already forming. As if his world wasn't fractured enough, his mother walked out, leaving him and his father alone in the silent wreckage of a broken home. As time slipped by, he spiraled deeper, slipping from bad to something far darker with no return. Richard began abusing drugs like smoking marijuana or consuming LSD, which actually exacerbated his condition. In 1975, at the age of 25, Richard was admitted in the hospital for injecting rabbit's blood into him because he believed his blood was turning into powder. His relationship with his father had soured beyond repair. Fueled by anger, Richard packed his things and left, finding refuge in his mother's home. Life at his mother's house offered no peace either. Richard often hallucinated that his mom was trying to poison him or murder him. Richard Sr. bought a house for his son, Richard Chase, and forced him to move. Given all the mounting troubles, isolation filled every room and neglect seeped through the walls. Left to himself, Richard's loneliness deepened and his dark descent grew even more dire. With no friends, no family, and no trace of love in his life, he turned to a strange, evil comfort. He started killing dogs, cats, and rabbits, drinking their blood and consuming them day after day. This devouring intensity filled the hollow ache within him, but only for a moment. He bought a few puppies from a pet store and did the same. The neighbors noticed that he brought pets after pets into his home. But as days turned to weeks, a chilling pattern emerged. None ever came back out. On August 3, 1977, Richard was found by Nevada police in a field near Lake Tahoe, fully naked, screaming, and had blood and organs of a cow all over him. But they let him go. Growing numb to the thrill of animal lives slipping away, he craved something darker. In a twisted rite of passage, he set his sights on new prey, humans. The hunt had just begun. On the chilling night of December 27, 1977, a single gunshot shattered the silence in Sacramento. Richard Chase had fired a .22 caliber handgun into the home of an unsuspecting woman. The bullet pierced through the windows, coming to rest in her kitchen. Miraculously, no one was harmed. When police arrived, they found the spent shell, silent evidence of a close brush with terror. The truth would emerge later that Richard Chase's mom's refusal to let him come home for Christmas ignited a violent fury within him, setting off a chain of horror no one could have foreseen. 2 days after his first failed attempt, on 29 December 1977, Richard Chase spotted an innocent man, 51-year-old Ambrose Griffin, unloading vegetables from his car. Richard drove by him and shot him in the chest. On January 23, 1978, less than a month after the murder of Ambrose Griffin, Richard Chase struck again. This time, his victim was Teresa Wallen. in a chilling escalation of violence. He entered her home, leaving behind a scene that would haunt investigators and horrify a city. On January 27, 1978, 4 days after Teresa Wallen's brutal death, Jurij Chase unleashed his darkest fury yet, slipping into the home of Evelyn Miroth, committing an act so gruesome it would mark one of the bloodiest days in Sacramento's history. 51-year-old Dan Meredith, a family friend who was paying Evelyn Miroth a visit, and 20 months old David Ferreira, a nephew who Evelyn was babysitting, were both shot dead while Evelyn was taking a shower. 6-year-old Jason was also shot dead while trying to run into his mother's room to escape from Richard. Evelyn's death was even more horrifying than Teresa Wallen's. He split open her skull and ate some of her brain. The bloody footprints told a chilling story. They matched exactly with those left at the scene of Teresa Wallen's murder. The police knew it was the same killer. With careful measurements, they pieced together the height and build of the suspect, urgently broadcasting the description to the neighborhood. Fear rippled through the community as the police pleaded for tips, hoping to close in on the predator before he could strike again. Thanks to a timely tip from a vigilant citizen, the police finally closed in. Swift and decisive, they surrounded Jurij Chase, ending his reign of terror with a single, fateful arrest. Despite Jurij Chase's plea of not guilty by reason of insanity, the court saw through his defense. Guilty on all 6 counts of murder, the judge's final word sealed his fate: death by gas chamber. Justice had spoken. Before justice could claim him, Jurij Chase took fate into his own hands. He overdosed on his medication, ending his life.